I have a confession to make. Something that I don't really tell many people. But today I'm going to lay everything on the line and tell one of my deepest, darkest secrets. Okay, so here it goes. I actually have a huge anxiety when it comes to painting. And this anxiety really gets bad immediately after I've had a super successful painting. Now, you might be thinking, that's odd. And it is. It's like there's this voice in my head that starts to tell me these lies. Like, you know you're not good enough. Why are you even trying in the first place? This mindset is really stupid. And to be honest, I had no idea where it originated from until I started digging into my past. You see, I grew up in a very strict home. I wasn't allowed to listen to pop music, rock music, or anything pretty much with drums. I wasn't allowed to watch certain movies like Harry Potter, even in college. I had to dress a certain way to belong and even act a certain way to be accepted. Basically, I was raised to be perfect in every single way and to mold this image that really wasn't me at all. While those in my life who rigidly forced me to mold to the standard, while they meant well, that perfectionistic attitude still to this day robs me of the element of joyful and messy creativity, which is what art is really about, right? Perhaps you too suffer from crippling perfectionism as well, but maybe for different reasons. How do you overcome something that seems so paralyzing to that one thing that gives you so much joy? Well, for me, it's in a strange way, yet very simple. If I feel paralyzed by fear, I simply place a purposeful limitation on myself. And yeah, I know that sounds really weird, but for some reason, forcing myself to work with limited supplies or with a special type of technique or just one color is actually the best way for me to break through one of these episodes. So today, as I'm sure you already have an inkling, I am going to be mixing all of my watercolor tube paints together and creating as Sophia Nygaard, another great YouTuber on the platform who I actually got this idea from. As she says, I'm going to be creating a Frankenstein color from all of my watercolor tube paints mixed all together. And then to challenge myself, I'm going to be using this paint color no matter what type of color I get or produce from all of my paint colors. I am going to be using that color for an entire illustration. Now, before I mix all of these colors together, as you can probably tell, I first wanted to swatch all my colors on some student grade watercolor paper. I did this because I wanted to kind of determine how many opaque and transparent colors I actually owned to kind of get an idea of what type of consistency my Frankenstein color would be. If you are curious as to what transparent and opaque watercolors are, I'll provide a link to my blog where I discuss this in depth down below. Now, before I mix all of my colors together, I created actually a poll in the corner. It's where that little eye is up in the corner for all of you to vote. Do you think this Frankenstein color will be a charcoal black, a chocolate brown, or some other mystery color? Make sure to vote now and then let me know in the comments below, were you right or wrong? Now, while I wait for you to vote, I'm gonna give you a nice little tip too. In order to keep the vibrancy of my Frankenstein color and not dilute it with water, I added some gum arabic solution with a small amount of water and used this to mix up my color. By doing it this way, my color is still gonna remain vibrant, but also it's gonna make it super glossy. As a side note, if you have some dried up watercolors in your palette and you can't seem to refresh them with water, go ahead and add some of this stuff to that dried caked up paint. It actually will help solidify that color again, and it will also make it more vibrant than just trying to use water to refresh that color. Now, getting back to what this whole video is about, let's go ahead and mix up all of my watercolors together and figure out what color we actually have. And that color might actually surprise you. It's kind of a deep army green with a twinge of brown undertone. The color also has a slight shimmer to it because I actually own some iridescent watercolors. I really love that shimmer and glimmer. But anyway, I have to say this color really surprised me and is quite gorgeous, especially for like those background colors that you would put in a garden or in an illustration where you need depth in a painting. But trying to paint an entire illustration in this particular color was, I gotta say, quite tricky. So I made sure to go ahead and stretch out my color and really get an idea of how light this color could go and what it would look like, as well as how dark it could go, and get a really good idea of the range that I could pull out this one color for an illustration. And I have to say, I think it turned out quite nicely. So that is my video on how I conquer my painting anxiety and also mixing all of my watercolors together. If you're curious as to what kind of supplies that I used for this whole video, make sure to check out the link down below. I'll provide a link for the kind of main supplies that I use. I'm not going to list all the supplies that I used today because there are a lot of colors that I did, and some of them I really like and some of them I could really do without, and I don't want to sort through them. I guess I'm lazy. But I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you want to know kind of the main colors that I do use, I will leave a link down below for you. Anyway, lots of love, y'all, and I will see you in the next video.